to this lesson. I am Obani Kirsten. I'll be taking you on this subject, physical and health education. For this lesson, we'll be looking at the theme, health education, and our topic is pathogens, diseases, and their prevention. We'll be taking the part 1 of this lesson. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to define communicable disease, say what it is. You should also be able to explain the nature of some communicable diseases and list general preventive measures against communicable diseases. When we say a certain disease is communicable, what do we mean by that? So a brief introduction of this lesson. The human body, okay, your body, my body, has different kinds of responses it gives when it is attacked by disease-carrying organisms. When we fall sick, okay, it simply means that some foreign bodies that are harmful to our body have come in or have invaded the body. And when this happens, the body gives out different kinds of responses depending on the kind of disease-causing organism that invaded the body. Now, these disease-causing organisms are known as agents of what? Diseases, and they are called pathogens. Examples of pathogens are bacteria, fungi, and virus. All of these pathogens are living organisms except viruses. Viruses are not seen as living organisms. They are not considered as true living organisms, but bacteria and fungi are living organisms. So these pathogens, whether bacteria, fungi, or virus, when they invade the body, they cause harm to the body by giving us some certain diseases. Now, there are different kinds of diseases that affect the human body due to the invasion of these pathogens. Some of these diseases are communicable. Communicable simply means that they are transmittable. They can be transmitted from one person to another. While some other diseases are non-communicable. These are simply the diseases that cannot be transmitted from one person to another. So we have two types of diseases. We have the communicable diseases and the non-communicable diseases. But for this lesson, we'll be looking at some communicable diseases and their preventions. And later on in this same topic, we'll be looking at non-communicable diseases. But for this part 1, we are talking about, we'll be looking at what communicable diseases are, their modes of transmission, and their preventions. So by way of the definition, we say that communicable diseases are diseases that can be transmitted from an infected host to another. Now, this infected host may be an animal that is infected with a disease. It could be a person. It could even be an object, okay? But the main thing is that they are diseases transmitted from a host that has been infected to another uninfected person or animal. All right, so this is the main distinguishing factor between communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases, okay? Communicable diseases can be transmitted from a host carrying the disease to another host, while non-communicable diseases cannot be transmitted like that. Now, we have agents of transfer. We've mentioned some. Others, we can say surfaces, okay, such as table surfaces, kitchen cabinets, dining room tables. We have objects such as cups, toys, and other objects you can see around the home, in offices, in schools. Humans are other agents of transfer. We also have animals. Okay, some diseases are transmitted from animals to human beings. We have air. Okay, some diseases can actually stay a certain time in the air and, get transmitted to people around such an infected environment. We also have food. All these are agents of transfer. Some examples of communicable diseases are pneumonia, tuberculosis, meningitis, herpes, malaria, mumps, HIV and AIDS, influenza, chickenpox, ringworm, whooping cough, and measles. Now we'll be taking a look at means of transmission, okay? Means of transmission include fluid exchange, okay? It could be exchange of blood, maybe during blood transfusion, okay? It could also be secretions from the body. We also have contaminated substances. For example, if a toy or a cup is contaminated, okay, and we touch such contaminated cup or surface, okay, there's every possibility of contracting the disease. Another means of transmission include close contact between an infected carrier and a healthy person. For example, if someone carrying the disease comes in contact with someone else who is healthy or who is not carrying the disease, maybe they shake hands or he touches the person, there's every possibility that the healthy person will contact the disease. Another means of transmission is through contaminated air or water. Now we'll be looking at the different types of contacts, okay? We have direct contact and we have indirect contact. So we're going to categorize different means of transmission into direct contact and indirect contact. Direct contact. Now this is the spread of diseases from an infected person to an uninfected or healthy person through a direct physical contact. So we are saying that there must be a physical contact between an infected person and an uninfected person for us to say that a disease has been transmitted through direct contact. So this contact may be made through a touch. Okay, so if there is a touch from an infected person to an uninfected person, this touch may be when they shake hands, okay, or a kiss, okay, the kiss between two people, maybe an infected mother to a child, or an infected father, or an infected child to the father, or whatever kind of kissing, okay, sexual intercourse. This all constitutes what we call direct contact because there is a direct physical contact between the two persons, between an infected person and an uninfected person. Now, another way disease can be transmitted that we can say is still direct contact is when diseases are transmitted through physical contact with body lesions or oral secretions. These body lesions are things like cuts, injuries, any form of opening on the body, okay? If an uninfected person comes in contact with such openings on the body of an infected person, he or she is likely to contract the disease. We have oral secretions and fluids such as the person's saliva, mucus, tears, blood, urine, and phlegm. So these are different kinds of secretions that may come out from infected person to an uninfected person, and the healthy person contracts the disease. When we talk about coming in contact with body lesions or oral secretions of people, it has to do with when an infected person is in close proximity with an uninfected person, okay? When they are maybe standing close together or sitting close together. So for example, we can see in this image where people are sitting very close to themselves. If one of them sneezes and he's infected with a certain disease, okay, the saliva or mucus that comes out from the person's nose, okay, might touch the other person sitting very close to him or her, and the person would get infected. So all these are what we call direct contact of communicable diseases. Diseases that can be transmitted through direct contact are chickenpox, common cold, conjunctivitis or pink eye, hepatitis A and B, herpes simplex or cold sores, influenza, measles, etc. Now we're looking at indirect contact. This is the spread of a disease indirectly. That is the spread of a disease without any direct human-to-human contact. Okay? So it's the spread of a disease indirectly from an infected person to an uninfected person. In direct contact, there is a human-to-human contact, okay? But in indirect contact, that does not exist. There is no human-to-human contact. So the disease may be carried through air. Of course, there are some diseases that are airborne. For example, an infected person may come into an environment and sneeze, okay? The disease may be carried in the air around that environment. And long after the person has gone out, if some other persons come into that same environment, because that disease is in the air, okay, the other healthy people that have come into such an environment would get infected with the disease. And when that happens, we say a form of indirect contact of a communicable disease. The disease may also be carried through contact with contaminated surfaces or objects, okay? So when an infected person has touched maybe items such as toys, cups, or has placed his or her hand on a table surface, on an office table, or whatever kind of surface, okay? And their body secretions are left on such surfaces or on such objects. If another person, a healthy person, comes to pick or place their hands on that same surface where their body secretions are, they are likely to catch such disease. And that is indirect contact. The disease may also be carried by ingesting contaminated food and drinking water. Some diseases are carried in food and drinking water, okay? So diseases that can be carried in drinking water, we say that they are waterborne diseases, all right? So if a healthy person drinks such water, he's likely to get infected. The disease may also be carried by animal-to-person contact. For example, we have pets around our homes or even inside our houses, and when these pets get these diseases and they come around us, we are likely to contact the disease. The disease may also be carried through insect bites, okay? For example, if an uninfected insect bites an infected person and gets infected with a certain disease, when that insect bites a healthy person, the insect transmits that disease into a healthy person. And when that happens, we see it as a form of indirect contact of what? A communicable disease. So these are all examples of, indirect ways that diseases can be transmitted from one person to another. We've mentioned examples of ways that disease can be carried indirectly. Okay, so reading from the board, we say that a disease may be carried through the air when an infected person sneezes or coughs. Now, when they sneeze or cough, they send infectious droplets into the air. Now, when an uninfected person or a healthy person inhales this air, or when the infectious droplets touch openings on the body of an uninfected person, okay? So when those infected droplets maybe touch the eyes or the skin, we have some tiny openings on the skin, okay? So when such infected droplets touch openings on the body of an uninfected person, they stand the risk of becoming infected too. Sometimes the infected droplets fall on surfaces or objects, okay? So we may have infectious droplets on doorknobs. If an infected person has sneezed and did not wash his hands and uses that same hand to touch a doorknob, or uses that same hand to touch a towel, or uses that same hand to touch a needle or a syringe, okay? And a healthy person touches such contaminated objects or surfaces, they stand the risk of becoming infected, especially if they put their hands into their eyes, nose, or mouth. These are different openings on the body that are very, very prone to, touch. So if you go to touch that doorknob that an infected person has touched and their secretion is on the doorknob, and you use that same hand to put into your nose or rub your eyes or put food into your mouth, there is every possibility that you could get infected too. So this is what indirect contact. So having seen the different modes of transmission of communicable diseases, we'll be looking at the things we can do to generally prevent these diseases, okay? As much as they are easy to contract, there are simple hygienic rules that we can follow to actually prevent such diseases from getting across to us. So most communicable diseases can be prevented by paying attention to the practice of good personal hygiene, okay? Now, some of these personal hygiene practices are: 1, frequent and thorough washing of hands with soap and water. This is especially important when you're dealing with other people, okay? Well, maybe when you have to always come in contact with people. Of course, in school, at work, okay? There are some professions that demand that people always come in contact with other people. It's very, very necessary that we wash our hands frequently, all right? When you go to school, you touch the desk, you make use of pencils, you borrow pencils or pen from other students. So it's very, very important that we wash our hands frequently and thoroughly with soap and clean water. Another good personal hygiene practice is regular disinfection of frequently touched surfaces and objects such as doorknobs, handles, handrails, restroom surfaces, medical instruments, especially for those in the medical field that work in hospitals and clinics, computer keyboards at school or in the office, phones, office supplies, children's toys. So we must regularly disinfect objects and surfaces around us, okay, to minimize the transmission of communicable diseases. Another way is by using barriers such as hand gloves, nose masks, etc. to prevent the spread of germs. Another thing we can do is to cover our nose and mouth while coughing or sneezing, okay? It's very important that we cover our nose and mouth when we cough or sneeze. Another thing we can do is maintain a healthy lifestyle by exercising, eating balanced diets, and resting. These activities help to strengthen the immune system. When our immune system is strong, it helps to fight against the invasion of these microorganisms that cause diseases, okay? But if you have a very weak immune system, whatever kind of contagious or communicable disease that flies around the environment, you are very, very likely to get them. But if your immune system is strong, it can fight against the invasion of these diseases. Another thing we can do is to avoid sharing personal items and sharp objects. Personal items such as towels, for the guys, their clippers or shaving sticks, okay, needles, razor blade, anything sharp. We must not share such personal items. Now, in the case of malaria, the risk of contracting this disease can be reduced by preventing mosquito bites. And we can prevent mosquito bites by using mosquito nets and insect repellents. Mosquito nets help to keep mosquitoes away from our skin. Another thing we can do is to keep our surroundings generally clean and drain stagnant waters where mosquito larvae easily breed. Another thing we can do to help ourselves against contracting malaria is by spraying insecticides to control mosquitoes. We have come to the end of this lesson. We'll quickly take our summary. We said that communicable diseases are diseases that can be transmitted from an infected host to another. And then we say that the communicable disease is carried by infectious microorganisms and transmitted through humans, animals, surfaces, food, air, and water. Communicable diseases are transmitted by direct or indirect contact with infected people or materials. Examples of communicable diseases are measles, pneumonia, and malaria. We mentioned a whole lot of other diseases that are communicable. So with this, we can take some questions regarding what we have learned today. Number 1 question. Diseases that can be transmitted from an infected host to another are called dash diseases. A, communion diseases. B, community diseases. C, communicable diseases. Well, the correct answer is C, communicable diseases. We say that communicable diseases are diseases that can be transmitted from an infected host to another. Another question, which of the following is an example of indirect contact as a mode of disease transfer? A, contact through a kiss. B, contact with infected surfaces. C, contact with body lesions. The correct answer is C. We say that A and C are not correct because they are examples of direct contact, but B is an example of what? Indirect contact of communicable diseases. So with this, we have come to the end of this lesson. I'll see you again in the next lesson. Thank you for staying with me.
If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel. You can also turn on notifications to stay updated on new videos on this channel. This Brain Friend video was brought to you by Synforest. For more of these amazing e-learning videos, get your copy of Brain Friend. With more than 1,000 e-learning videos, over 74,000 test items in more than 40 subjects, a career counseling guide, and many other amazing features, BrainFriend remains your foremost e-learning and exam preparatory software. BrainFriend. Learn better, make excellent grades.